Welcome into my state of mind here on WPRI.com as we continue to offer you online commentary and get that TV show back on original programming as soon as we can at 7:30 on MyRI TV and Fox Providence at midnight. Today was an interesting day. Governor Raimondo offered some thoughts at her daily briefing that I think got her in a little bit of hot water. If you could judge by the radio, telephone through the Dan York Show weekdays 3 till 6 on WPRO, you could see that she kind of stepped in it. She was riffing about the people who are over 60 years of age. And she was suggesting that there are going to be precautions and regulations that they're going to have to deal with when it comes to getting back to work, because the theme right now is all about getting back to work. It's all about what happens in the workplace. And she was, I could tell, trying to say that there might be some challenges there. And when she was pressed on it by a reporter's question later, she kind of realized that I think that she was perhaps misunderstood, because the question was about the number of people who work well into their 60s and 70s and do so without any real problems. So what's going on here? Now, look, let's not kid ourselves. The over 60 crowd, when it comes to the difficulty with COVID-19 and the fatality rate, is dealing with it more so than the under 60 crowd. I mean, that's for sure. And that's something that I think is indisputable right now based on the data. And I think that's where she was going. But she did try to move it to a conversation about employers and responsibilities for some accommodations and the like. Really, her conversation about the 60 and over crowd was all over the map. And it raises two things for me. One, notwithstanding the terrific job that this governor has done day in, day out, and her major effort to flatten the curve, I think, has been successful, she does suffer from, I think, two things at least. One, she's overextended. Everybody gets to take a break every once in a while, and she hasn't done so, other than Easter. I mean, she is there every single day. She doesn't like to delegate authority. She's a micromanager. She doesn't trust people very well, apparently, and it's starting to bleed out because the day-to-day data that the governor is offering, other than through the Department of Health Director, Dr. Alexander Scott, and the fatality rate, the sickness rate, and all that kind of stuff, the positive rate, other than that data and some programmatical stuff that comes up from time to time, she's without a lot of content. Because there's a lot of stuff that she can't say right now. She's postponing a formal decision on closing the schools permanently for the year, meaning social distance learning or distance learning. That's inevitable, but she's postponing that. Today she forecasted that the parks will be open, but wait till next week for the new regulations that will take place somewhere down the line. So that's all tentative, down the line type of information. And then she just kind of riffed on the 60-plus crowd as part of her kind of fireside chat thing. It's not good. It's not good because she was misunderstood. Now, I don't know how the news cycle is going to play this. I don't know how television and newspaper are going to play it, but when you heard it live, unedited, it was a mess. Secondly, part of the reason why it's a mess is because she has not interacted with the journalistic community. I'm going to say this here, and I know it rubs a lot of folks the wrong way, and I hope not inside the journalistic and media management community, but enough is enough. This online questioning of the governor during her briefings and a 15-minute conference call to follow up where everyone fights over each other to ask one single follow-up question is just not getting the job done. She needs to have people in front of her. This social distancing thing, I'm just, abiding by the law. She's not wearing a mask. Her people aren't wearing a mask. I'm not saying they should, but there are practical allowances for getting the job done and serving the people out there. And we have phenomenal journalists in this community, all of whom are working as a stunted professional. Just not able to do the follow-up. It would have helped her to be able to clarify with some interactivity. I mean, if I was at that press conference today, I would have said, Governor, this 60-plus message is all over the map. You better clarify this. Let's talk about this. And actually would have helped her, not hurt her. But this is all what happens when authority comes to somebody uncontested. It's a problem. And she won't admit it. And I will tell you, at some juncture, the journalists here, almost immediately, and the ownership and management of all the media companies in this community, instead of playing nicey and getting into a fetal position and asking the governor for permission, can we just please to do our jobs, ask you a few more questions on a telephone conference call, ought to be able to say, look, our constituents, meaning our viewers, readers, listeners, need to hear interactivity with our journalistic community. So as of this date, if you don't bring people back in, we're shutting you off. We're shutting you off. That's it. Play that game of chicken with her. No other governor in the country is doing it this way. I don't know why we've decided to allow her to do that. Enough. In the meantime, the power and authority that the legislative leaders have gained through this is also unique. Well, you'd say, what power and authority? You don't even see them. Exactly. Exactly. This governor, by creating an understandably executive-heavy environment, has left the legislative process in the dust. Now, they've got their financial efficiency task force unicameral Senate House thing going to happen next week to review the governor's spending on COVID-19. Okay, I get that. But the General Assembly needs to meet. The weather's getting warmer. State Representative Blake Filippi, the minority leader, said to me today, he'd find $5,000 and a few guys and put up a tent. Now, you take a look online across the country. Legislatures are meeting in gyms, in theaters, in large spaces where social distancing can be respected and executed. But the Speaker of the House and the Senate President are sitting there thinking, well, you know what? We'll get to this budget thing when we get to it, and it's going to be somewhat perfunctory, the role of every other legislator that's not in the leadership group. I don't know that they're bad guys for this. I don't believe they are. But again, the assumption of authority and power. See, they're sitting in the catbird seat waiting for the governor to finally say, you know what, yeah, we need some General Assembly action here on some things like the budget. And they'll come in and handle it themselves. The elephant in the room in our General Assembly in Rhode Island has always been that only a few make the decisions anyway. Now it'll become glaringly obvious that it's been true all along. It's no way to run a railroad. The General Assembly might have to pitch a tent on the State House lawn, but they better get to the game of oversight, hearings, deliberation. We don't need that many bills, but it would be, as Blake Filippi said to me today, I think it's right, it would be comforting for Rhode Island to see that its government was actually able to figure out a way to run. Because last I checked, we all elected them to be there. You have a great night. We'll be back here tomorrow night. Wash your hands. Try not to touch your face. Keep smiling. And more importantly, keep praying.